Welcome to Mella's vlog. Thank you for being with me. I need to take a cough drop because I have started this video 3 times and have lost my voice. So with that, I want to thank everyone for being with me. It's a super small channel. It's just something I like to do to relax. But the one video I did of some seriousness and a political angle, I got a comment on. None of the others I got any comments. But thank you for commenting. I'm going to take another video and follow up with you a little bit more on responding to you and kind of following up on what's going on with the Don Lemon case. And I want to say I noticed one thing very different from the viewers' comment, which I don't know if this viewer was actually there. I get the feeling you were actually there. Correct me if I'm wrong. However, the article I read by BBC is that the accusers who got him arrested were saying he attacked people. We need to be very careful in what we're saying. This is why I appreciate the viewer's comment. She said it felt intimidating. It was intimidating. Totally, I get that. When I was a little kid and went to church all the time, I still believe very much in Jesus. I do not go into the churches. I do not like the judgment calls going on. People used to be able to walk in that church. I can remember cameramen walking into the church more than once. It was a very big church. 50 years up here, but down there, I was in Connecticut. It was called St. Joseph's Cathedral. Huge church. So cameramen did go in. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about this in perspective and how very quick today we are to how do I say this? I don't know. I go by Jesus's way. I take pause. I'm still. I want to understand the situation. And I learned that this pastor, do not know if it's fact or not, but is one of these anti-agents. I can't even say the name because I'm so deeply affected, as many Americans are, millions are, by our citizens losing their lives. And I was in the healthcare, and for an ICU nurse to be twisted and described as a terrorist concerns me. So when I hear, reading an article and I'm looking at it and it says use the word attack, as we know what attack is, that bothers me. So it concerns me. I want to wait and get facts, and we'll, continue to talk about the facts there. But this viewer, I think, gave a very forthright, honest, more of an honest base of how she felt. Okay, so with that, thank you again. I want to talk about Demon Wilson. He passed away. He was 79 years old. That's a long life that he lived. God bless his soul. But he was on Sanford and Son. He lived from October 13th, 1946. Let's see if I can get his image here. His whole name was Grady Demon Wilson. Here he is. He was very, very funny in Sanford and Son. So he lived from October 13th, 1946. He was born in Georgia, and he died January 30th, 2026 in California. So I just go through the Wikipedia a little bit because it just kind of, we can just get an idea of his life. So he was an American actor and an author, and he was widely known for his role as Lamont, if you remember, and in the sitcom Sanford and Son. So that ran from 1972 to 1977. He later portrayed Oscar Madison on the new Odd Couple. I did not see that. 1982 to 83. I hardly watched TV in the 80s, I'm going to be honest. I really hardly did. I was working incredibly so much. And he appeared in a film, Me and the Kid, in 1993. Okay. So his early life and career. So we're just going to capsize it a little bit here. He was born in Valdosta, Georgia, October 13th, 1946. He grew up in New York City, where he studied tap dance and ballet. He made his Broadway debut at age 4 and danced at Harlem's Apollo Theater at 12. So he's been working since he was a tiny little kid. Wilson was raised as a Catholic and served as an altar boy. He would spend summers with his grandmother, Ada Mitchell, who was Pentecostal. Wilson briefly considered becoming a Catholic priest. He was going to be a priest. So at 13, his appendix ruptured and it almost was fatal, but he vowed to serve God as an adult in a ministry capacity. He served in the United States Army from 1966 to 68, and he was in the 4th Infantry. You know, I want to say something. I don't know how we're living in a day and age when people think they can look at people and make a judgment call. I experienced this just myself yesterday. And you take a look just at Denman Wilson's picture. We just looked at him. You could not tell any of this was in his life. How could you? You don't know what he went through. He was in the Army, 1966-68, in the 4th Infantry Division in Vietnam, where he was wounded. Upon returning home in the late 60s, Wilson was featured in several Broadway and off-Broadway stage productions before moving to Hollywood. He had guest roles in several television series, Mission Impossible, All in the Family, and in other films like The Organization, 1971, and or the Berkeley to Boston 40 Brick Lost Bag Blues, like 1972. What is that? That was a film, apparently. So it talks about him being on Sanford and Son, and he was also on Laugh-In. Wilson got the role, instead. Wilson played Lamont through the run of the series, starring with Red Fox, if you remember Red Fox. And became the star. Oh, this is interesting. I didn't know this. He became the star when Red Fox walked off the show in 1974 over a salary dispute, which this happens so often, with the producers, and his character was written out of the rest of the season. Fox returned the following year, and the pair worked together until 1977, when the show was canceled. In 1980 to 81, Fox attempted to revive the show with a short-lived sitcom, Sanford, but Wilson refused to reprise his role for the new series. So this is a shame when you hear this, especially when the motivating factor is money. I'm sure they had enough money to pay each of these actors in a way that both of them would be satisfied. So this, I'm just saying, I'm sure. Um, when asked in 2014 if he kept in touch with anybody from Sanford and Son, especially Fox, who died in October 11th, 1991, he responded, "No, I saw Red Fox once before he passed away. Um, and then I never saw him again. At that time, I was playing tennis at Malibu Racket Club, and I was approached by some producers doing a Red Fox 50th special. I hadn't spoken to him since 1977, and I called the club where Red was playing." So, I don't know, like, the other things that happened between them, but apparently the salary that Red Fox was having an issue with became between them somehow. So anyway, Damon Wilson, so he was also an author. It goes through some other films that he was in, including The Cotton Club in 1984. So he was an author, and he wrote several Christian books concerning the New Age movement. This is very interesting. And the hidden dangers he believed it held for society. The New Age Millennium was released by CAP Publishing and Literary Company LLC in 1998. Wilson, who also was an author of children's books, called the book an expose of certain New Age symbols and slogans. His memoir, Second Banana, The Bittersweet Memoirs of Sanford and Son Years, was released in 2009. Wilson said it was just a documented truth, behind the scenes, factual account of what happened those years. Red Fox and I were making history back in those days. They sure were. That's why it's a shame that they came to odds. We were the first blacks to be on TV in that capacity, and we opened the door for all others. They really, really did. And that was just an ingenious show. So he made a memoir. I just want to make a comment on that. We see some very well-established people born into well-established institutions coming out and writing books or coming out and making videos, saying things that are absolutely disabling and humiliating their parents, things that don't need to be said. There are some things that don't need to be said, because what you do unto others will be done unto you. How would you like the humiliating things to be aired about you? But it sounds like in this memoir that Damon Wilson was careful about what he said. So when we do things with compassion, like we talk about our own experience, be mindful of how we're talking about it and what needs to be said. Many times, many things don't need to be said if it's going to hurt someone unnecessarily. Yes, if it's something bad going on, you need to report it to the correct people, of course. But I'm talking about humiliating and embarrassing your own family and friends. Later appearances and projects. Wilson made numerous guest appearances on Praise the Lord program, and it aired on Trinity Broadcasting Network. Okay, so it talks about that. Now, in the summer of 2011, Wilson started appearing with the actress Nina Nicole in a touring production of the play The Measure of a Man by playwright Matt Hardwick. The play is described as a faith-based production and is set in a small town in South Georgia. I love that he used his position to communicate his faith. Wilson began work in 2010 to produce and act in a melodramatic family film based on a play called Faith Ties, Wilson said of the project, I play a broken down old drunk whose wife and daughter are unalived, and he's given up on life. Something happened to them. This is in the film. The protagonist is a pastor who is in the middle of, while he watches the lives of people crumbling around him. In the middle. Okay, in the middle of this man's life. Okay. So personal life and death, they don't give a lot. But they say he married model Cicely Johnston on May 3rd, 1974. They had 6 children. And in 1984, he was ordained a minister in the Church of God in Christ. And he was an active Christian evangelist for much of his adult life. So many of you may know him. Wilson died of complications from cancer at his home in Palm Springs, California on January 30th, 2026 at 79. He's a son. His son Christopher confirmed to the New York Times that Wilson had been suffering from prostate cancer. So that is a little bit about Demon Wilson. I did not know he was a minister. I didn't know he aspired to be a priest when he was growing up. He was a man of God. So God bless him and his family. So with that, thank you for being with me today. I send you love and light. We'll see you in the next one.